Hi, my name is Beth Drucker, and I'm the co-facilitator of Go Green Illinois, along with Kim Stone, Councilwoman of Highland Park. I want to welcome you all to our September meeting. Once a year, we take a meeting to help have extended time so that all of our groups that participate can share the projects that they're doing. And we're especially focusing on progress with ordinances and legislation. This happens to be the 50th time we have met as a group. There are a few of you who were there from the beginning. And for those of you who are new, thank you for joining us. Our strength is in the different groups that are members. We should have about 23 communities here at this meeting. And we have had interaction with about 30 different suburbs of Chicago. That's 10% of the suburbs in Chicago, which gives you an idea of how many suburbs we have. So we're thrilled that you're here, and it's a very, very exciting time to meet because we finally have passed some amazing energy legislation in the state of Illinois, and we're going to start with that. But before we do start, I just want to review something that I reviewed with the many different people who have agreed to do very, very short reports for us today. Our meetings are very fast. We call it speed dating. People are asked to be very succinct and brief in their comments so that everybody has a chance to talk. Some of you, we do have at the end community sharing. So if you're not listed on the agenda, you didn't get the agenda if you're not haven't been asked to speak, but there will be time at the end for the rest of you to let me know. I'll be calling it by community. And ideally, one person from your community can talk unless you're doing very different things and you divide your time. So I'll be doing the best I can. Again, I'm running this without Kim Stone and without a Go Green intern. We're currently without an intern. So bear with me, and thank you very much. And let's see how we can get informed and inspired by all the people in the community. I want to especially welcome some communities that haven't been here very often. And that is, we have LaGrange, Naperville, and Go Green Morton Grove has just changed their name, although they have been working in Morton Grove. And we have Go Green Glen Ellen and Greener Glenview, who are just launching this month. So that's super duper exciting, and we're gonna get updates from all of you. And so with that, it's 1:08. I am going to ask our first speaker, Lisa Albrecht, to give us a brief summary of this amazing climate legislation that just got passed. For those of you who don't know, Lisa has been a board member of the Illinois Solar Energy Association for years. She owns her own solar company called Albright Solar, and she lives and breathes solar 24/7. She has been down in Springfield. She has been working on this legislation for years. And we are very, very fortunate to have her give us a brief update about what this new legislation means for us. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Beth. And, you know, I can't be a bigger fan of the whole Go Green community. So I feel really blessed to be able to give you guys sorry, I thought I said do not disturb on this. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So in the end, it was a 940 or 960 page bill. Giving you a 5-minute overview will be really high level. But some of the really exciting things are that it does create a path finally for Illinois to move into 100% clean energy by 2050. Within that is a zero carbon goal of 2045. And to achieve that goal is some requirements to shutter some of our dirtiest polluters, which are our coal and fossil fuel plants, some by 2030, some by 2035, and then ultimately some of the municipally owned, specifically Prairie State, which was probably the hardest piece to get over the finish line. They need to be 45% emissions reductions by 2035, and then either 100% or closed by 2045. So keeping Illinois on track for having that zero carbon energy plan by 2045. in that, and I apologize, so a lot of this bill is related to a number of energy efficiency standards, all kinds of great things that are in here. In the solar piece, as many of you know, solar ran out of residential incentives in December 2020, ran out of commercial incentives in February of 2020. So pre-pandemic, if anyone can remember what that world was like. And so it's exciting to see that bucket open up. Within the renewable energy portion, we are looking to get to 100% renewables by 2050. So this bill is really going to magnify some of the goals. We're currently less than 9% today. So we're aiming to get to 40% by 2030. 50% by 2040, and I'm not quite sure. Somehow we're going to figure out the rest to get us all the way up to 2050. That's going to include 4,000 megawatts of utility scale solar, 4,000 megawatts of utility scale wind. That's going to include about 5,800 megawatts of rooftop solar, and that does include some of the community solar projects. So as many of you know, the Renewable Energy Credit Program ran out on day 2 or maybe week 1 when we launched this program in January of 2019. So that gets that ball rolling again, so we can really continue moving forward on some of the great things that the community solar industry was doing. The buckets will open up immediately. There's a wait list of over 4,000 projects already on the wait list. The wait list is going to continue to build until the effective date of the bill and the IPA announces the new long-term procurement plan. And so projects between now and the official date for the new long-term plan will go into the next block, whichever block had just closed. For residential is 4, commercial is 5, but they'll start to follow all of those rules. Once the new plan kicks into place, all projects, commercial projects, will require prevailing wage labor. Utility scale does require, so any project over 5 megawatts and greater requires full union card carrying PLA agreements. So some really exciting things happening there. But what's really exciting is that the solar companies who were losing jobs by the droves can actually reverse that trend, start hiring people, and try to figure out how we're going to get all this, these 4,000 projects processed through the wait list, let alone selling the new stuff that people are excited to do. So, there's a lot of people standing in the sidelines, not even wanting to get on the wait list. So it's really exciting. Let's see, what else? $80 million a year in workforce development. That'll be spread out over 13 hubs across the state, making sure that we're doing job training all across Illinois. The Illinois Solar for All program, which ensures that our most left behind communities continue to be part of this. There's a 500% increase. So it's gone from $10 million a year in investment to $50 million a year in investment, which is great because they've already had so many projects that they can't fill them all. There's a $40 million plan for coal to solar transition. So making sure that those communities that will be transitioning from fossil fuels are not just left out in the dark the way that they were when Waukegan nuclear plant closed. There's $700 million of payments to the nuclear power plants that will be spread out over 5 years. If the infrastructure deal in Washington passes, then the utilities will be required to apply for those funds, and then some of those dollars may be reduced for the state and what that payout is going to be to keep our nuclear power plants open. Byron actually was about to shut down literally yesterday, and as soon as the bill was passed, they began loading fuel rods into the reactor. So Byron was super close to actually being shuttered. There's a ton of other things, $34 million for seed capital to start disadvantaged businesses or businesses like mine that are small and really looking to get off the ground. $1 million for Jobs for Justice Fund, making sure that we have a pipeline for getting folks employed who may have had prior convictions on their records and may be difficult. There's $21 million for contractor incubators. There's tons of things in here to help stimulate growth within all sectors of the clean energy spectrum, including energy efficiency, retrofitting, windows, lighting, all those types of things that need to happen on people's homes to make sure we're reducing our energy demands while at the same time we're replacing that with clean energy. We're looking at about $80 million a year being invested in electric transportation. So moving our schools to electric buses, moving individuals from gas-fired cars or combustible engines to electric vehicles. That includes a $4,000 rebate in some of our more polluted or densely stressed transportation sectors, which is the seven counties typically around the Chicago area. There's tons more that's in here. Like I said, it's 960 pages. But I think what's really exciting is that, these dollars, anytime you're looking at this level of investment, it's spurring growth and entrepreneurship. And these are going to be dollars that compound themselves throughout our communities, ensuring that we've got, a really great plan for transitioning our communities to clean energy in just about every sector you can possibly think of.
Wow, that's amazing, Lisa. 1,000 pages distilled into 5 minutes. That's amazing. Someone has already asked if we can get a copy of your report. I'm not sure whether or not, we can get a text copy of your verbal report, but I so appreciate it. Now's the time to go solar. Now's the time to buy electric cars. And now is the time to support those elected officials and people like Lisa that have worked so hard to make this happen. It was really hard and it took years. So
yeah, I'm happy. My notes are super messy. I'll clean it up a little bit and send it to you, Beth. But Jacqueline asked a really good question about how are we going to fund all of this? It does come back through on a ratepayer adjustment. And I don't think I mentioned one of the things that's in the piece is more oversight about how we have ratepayer plans and how our rates are calculated in the first place, but also a lot of ethics standards for public utilities and things like that, including, if you were a lawmaker, what are your connections to these organizations? But CUB, Citizens Utility Board, has looked at the bill and determined that it's going to cost ratepayers somewhere around $3.50 per month over the foreseeable future. AARP has suggested that number is actually somewhere around $15 per month. And I think, we'll see in the end, but commonly what we find is that the forecasts tend to be overstated. And then as we see this all come out, you'll be able to see it on your electric bill.
Awesome. Great. Lisa, any idea of how many jobs this might create?
Tens of thousands, everything from someone who's doing insulation to someone like me who wants to start their own company, to salespeople, accounting people, people installing solar panels on a rooftop out in a field, lighting retrogrides, putting in electric vehicles, charging stations. So if you can think of a job sector, it's probably covered in this bill.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. All of our speakers who are fitting us into a tight time, Lisa may be leaving us, but thank you very much. We know you are such a resource to all of us in the state for the solar energy. Thank you very much for the hours that you have spent, years you have spent to try to make this happen.
And thanks to everyone here for reaching out to their lawmakers. If it wasn't for that communication, we may still very well be in negotiations. So it's exciting that we're here.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Now, thank you very much, Lisa. So Ken Walczak from the Adler Planetarium is with us, and he also had a tight schedule, asked to be on the agenda at 1:20. The issue that I'm going to unpin you, Lisa. So Ken Walczak is with the Adler Planetarium. He is one of Chicagoland's leading experts on the dark sky issue. This is something that we all need to collaborate on because to keep our skies darker, it's going to take all of us. And so Ken is working with Linda Kurtz from Go Green Will Met. Many of you may have seen, we had a 45-minute presentation about the dark sky issue. And if you didn't see that, it was great. Ken Walczak might be able to provide a similar program to your group and your community. So with that, I'm going to call on Ken Walczak, please. If you start speaking, I can then pin you.
Hey, how you doing? There I am.
So
okay. Yeah, if any of you had seen my talk from the previous month, I'd be happy to share the same information with any of your groups or governments. I'm a representative of the International Dark Sky Association, as well as I work at the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. And I just wanted to briefly just kind of touch base on some of the ways that this is not just a dark sky issue, it's a sustainability issue, it's a climate issue, it's an energy issue, and it's a common sense issue. I always like to say that 70% of all mammals are nocturnal, but humans are not one of them. And so you can imagine we all need darkness in our natural cycles when it comes to our biology and the way we've evolved. So it not only protects ourselves, but it also protects the rest of the ecology. So just quickly, since I don't have too much time, I just want to maybe leave you a few tools. If you, let me do a screen share here real quick. If you want more information, first of all, we are in the process of forming an IDA chapter in the Chicago region. So we're in the process of that. Hopefully in the next few months that should come together. But for the time being, I'm going to leave you my email address that if you want to contact me, I would love to point you toward the Chicago regional chapter of the IDA, which I hopefully will do in the next few months as we get our website going and the organization together. For the time being, let's see, I'm having a little lag issue. Just want to share, if you were interested, if you wanted to call me, if you want to email me, reach out to me, that'd be great. But if you want to explore on your own, there's no better place to start than darkskies.org, which is the website for the International Dark Sky Association. I always like to kind of, especially for us urban and suburban dwellers, I always like to describe it as a kind of a pyramid, inverted pyramid, where if you start at home, where you can actually kind of learn the best practices of how lighting could be efficient, how it could actually protect the environment. If you simply go to the darksky.org website, click on lighting, this page will, you can start from what are called the 5 principles for responsible lighting. It's a short document. It could actually be printed out as a PDF and shared. And it'll start you on the road. And like I said, that inverted pyramid, if you start at home and they give, for example, examples of types of fixtures or types of light bulbs that if you're in a hardware store, if you're searching for to maybe change your lighting at your own home, they can give you guidance on that. And you'll see some of those things there. Going up, start talking about your neighborhood, start talking about your neighbors. And, like I said, best practices at home actually help teach you, by the way, the things that are good and better practices that you can share with neighbors. Sorry, I live on a major street in Chicago, so that's going to happen. And so, what's I say? Oh, and then kind of going up that pyramid, then you can start approaching governments. There are guidance for lighting ordinances, guidance for policymakers, and also for even lighting engineers, so that you can have the information behind you, not just the effort for ecology or health and all that. And then, like I said, by reaching out, we can actually, let's see. I've developed some tools, and I'm going to have Linda say a little bit about what we've been doing in Wilmette. If anybody's interested in, for example, doing a quick lighting inventory of their neighborhood to kind of put actual numbers on what is happening, we've developed this tool where you can actually do a lighting inventory. It'll map out all the lights that you survey. And it could sort of be a tool for, you can actually see, and then once you start zooming in, this is the Loyola campus as an example. Every single one of these is a fixture. It actually includes GPS location and images so that you can actually start to quantify the amount of lighting. This actually helps make the argument that the efficiency of the lighting, how many there are, and what they're used for can be much more improved. So that. And I just, oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop sharing. I just wanted to, one more little plug and I'll be done. I don't know if you've heard, but one of the things that the IDA does, the International Dark Sky Association, is they recognize through an application process locations around the world which qualify for certain levels of designation. if you've heard in the news, I will share these press releases with you. Just last month, the world's largest urban night sky place has just been designated. We've worked about a little over 2 years on the process. It is at the Palos Preserves. If you're familiar with Little Red Schoolhouse and the Nature Preserve and the Forest Preserve, Cook County Forest Preserve there. It's nearly a 7,000 acre now designated as an urban night sky place. The nights there are beautiful. No lights whatsoever in your view. It's quite an experience that is rare for most people who live in our region. So I just wanted to put a plug on that. And by the way, there's other designations. The IDA does designate dark sky communities. Our region actually happens to be the home of 3 of them. If you're familiar, there's Hawthorne Woods, Homer Glen, and Beverly Shores, Indiana, are all 3 dark sky communities. It's an effort to show, for example, good lighting policy, a commitment to the preservation of the night skies, and also, like I said, it's an ecological, environmental, and economic issue as well.
Okay, that's great. Linda Kurtz, did you want to give a quick review of what we're doing in Wilmette?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Beth, and thanks, Ken. So what we're doing in Wilmette is very similar to what Ken showed you. In fact, with Ken's help, we're utilizing his application to collect lighting data for our community. So we've identified some areas of interest. That would be some parks along the lakeshore, where we know those are important corridors for migratory birds, some schools, some other public buildings and things like that, where we're collecting lighting data. And we'll use these data then to help inform or shape future lighting related ordinances as the opportunity presents itself to do that. And then, of course, we'll also use the data in terms of for case studies and public outreach and general education of our community, to help engage others, private homeowners and things like that, in ways that they can change their lighting. We will do the studies as well for homeowners. Of course, we'll of course need to get their permission and get people on board to want to participate. But again, it's all part of our efforts to engage, inform, educate, and ultimately, make improvements to the lighting within our community.
Great, thank you, Linda. We've discovered this is an issue that, as Ken said, it has a lot to do with things we love, like stargazing, but also health, about ecology, environmental efficiency. People always think that brighter is better. And what's amazing is the Dark Sky Association can prove that is not the case. Go Green Wilmette did a webinar, and you could find it on our YouTube channel about dark skies. We did it earlier in the year, and it was very interesting. So if you want a 45-minute webinar about it with Q&A, go to you can find one already done. So Ken, Linda, thank you for your work on this, and we'll keep an update. But this is an issue that you don't get a lot of pushback on people. And if you look at your school districts, your village and your park districts, and then like downtown commercial areas, those are one place to start. But as Ken says, if you get people looking at their own porch light, their own garage light, that's how you can start the conversation. So thank you very much to Ken and Linda. And with that, we're going to go next to Edith Macra with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Good to see everybody. Really glad to be here. I just wanted to give an overview to connect some dots on the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and some of the initiatives we've been working on. And thank you so much to those of you who have participated in our climate plan event, and then looking forward to talking more about the sustainability planning tools that we have next month. And then we occasionally hop on these meetings and we'll talk about EV Ready. So I'll take this time to just kind of loop everything together to those of you that don't know us very well. Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, we're a nonprofit council of governments, and we serve your communities. So we are considered, a council of governments is called a COG, and we are considered a super COG, only in that we are umbrella to 9 sub-regional COGs in the Chicago area. And for those of you on the North Shore, your communities are members of the Lake County Municipal League. There's DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, etc. And the COGs themselves have 20 to 40 members in them. We have 275. We were started as an opportunity for the city of Chicago to cooperate with the suburbs under Chicago Mayor Daley. And it's a members organization, I mean, a mayor's organization by our name. You can hear that. And the idea was to get the chief elected officials talking across the region. It's not an environmental organization. We work on a lot of other issues that are relevant to municipalities, including housing is the big area. But for the sustainability work that we do, I'm the Director of Environmental Initiatives. And this is where it comes back to how important you are and how important it is to have coordination at all levels of government. So while most of our work really reaches out, our point people are the mayors, what happens in municipalities for leadership and drive and actually getting work done happens at a lot of different levels. And that we call these civic leaders. And this is whether it's an elected official that's not the mayor, whether it is a commissioner, which many of you are, or a citizen advocate or staff. These are all people that we serve and pull into the tools and the resources of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. And quickly, what some of those tools are, to pull this big of a region together, we did a study, I led it 5-6 years ago, just to get clarity on where and what I was supposed to be working at across the region. And that study was very inclusive, and it led to a tool which many of you are already using called the Greenest Region Compact. The compact itself comes in 3 parts. Very briefly, there's a compact, which is the set of goals that are articulated and communities formally adopted or express their support for those goals. We have 136 municipalities right now supporting the Greenest Region Compact. We then have a framework which scales the regional approach down to a local level and makes the connection between what municipalities can do in their communities to be more sustainable and then back to regional initiatives. That's the Greenest Region Compact framework. And I'll put those in the chat in a second here. The last piece is doing things together collaboratively. And that's really where at the Mayor's Caucus, we try to provide support to communities across the region and do things together. As my former chairman, Mayor Ostenberg, once said, we link arms and we put our heads together. And these are programs, many of which you've heard about. This is where I wanted to loop back. So some of you know about our Greenest Region Core program. This is a program in which we leverage AmeriCorps resources and provide full-time sustainability staffing to municipalities that cost share with us. And we've had members serving in Highland Park and Northbrook, and Lake Forest was going to have one this year. That's something the Mayor's Caucus takes on as a grant program and administers. We have other programs that, again, some of the communities have been participating in. Soul Smart is one of them. We have a program that's upcoming that we're really hoping to launch early next year or late this year called EV Ready program, which builds on our Soul Smart work for advancing communities' sustainability. And the last piece to loop everything together is our climate action plan, which again, many of you are aware of. But the idea for that was that climate action planning is very, very difficult and expensive and challenging and intimidating for our municipalities to do. So the the plan for the region, the climate action plan, is meant to support all communities going forward on climate planning. And I'm over time, but what I wanted to just add one more update on was a request on the EV, because we are following the electrification issue very closely. And while the passage of the bill is super exciting and there's lots more resources, which Lisa covered, I did want to, just encourage you all to follow the development of those programs. So just because the state has funding doesn't mean that those programs will be implemented. And we've had some painful disappointments in the electrification arena in the last couple of years because there was funding that was appropriated both through the Volkswagen mitigation settlement and a capital bill that went to the state of Illinois and was never spent. So don't rest easy yet. Just because funding's there, we want to see the programs actually occur. And then just a companion progress that we've seen, which is very encouraging, is the Illinois Department of Transportation has issued a contract for the beginnings of a statewide EV infrastructure plan, starting to map out with working with University of Illinois where some of the locations might be ideal, which is a great, something we've been wanting to see and a great first step. And then I had a conversation with the Civic Federation, who is working at a high level with the CEOs of the region to encourage more EV technology development and industry in the state of Illinois. So with that, I'll drop some links into the chat. Thanks, Beth.
Okay, thank you, Edith. She's an amazing resource. If you are not familiar with the Greenest Region Compact and the framework that goes with it, please look that up. That is how Wilmette started their path to a sustainability plan, because they have done countless hours of work, and it makes working on a sustainability plan way more manageable for a community. Also with the EVs, one of the things that as a community, more and more people are getting electric cars. Many of them, who if they're homeowners, will be charging them in their houses. So as a community group, what we need to look at is what's happening in our municipal area. Do we have a municipal charging station? But very importantly, for all of our multi-unit buildings, for residential buildings and commercial buildings, are they putting chargers into their garages? It's not that expensive, but they may need a nudge, and we can all learn more, but that's going to be the next step. We have to have our people who live in apartments and condos, they need to be able to charge electric cars at home, just like homeowners are able to. So thank you for that, Edith, your wealth of information. We are jumping around like we usually do, but right now we're talking about legislation and ordinances. If you look at your village ordinances, there are ways that we can improve and strengthen them to protect the environment. So that's dark sky lighting, building ordinances that might have to do with electrification, and tree ordinances are very, very, very important. We were fortunate enough to have Lydia Scott of Morton Arboretum doing a webinar for Go Green Wilmette. Again, it's on our YouTube channel. It was phenomenal. And they've also addressed this group as well. So Zach Wirtz is working with Lydia Scott. He's with the Chicago Region Trees Initiative. And he and Saima Abbasi of Wilmette are working hard to try to establish a really, really good tree ordinance. In some communities, they already have really good ones. In most communities, there's a little work to be done. So Zach is going to sign on, and he's going to tell us what we can do in our communities, and most importantly, how he and the Chicago Region Trees Initiative can help us. Zach?
Thanks so much, Beth. So as you all heard, my name is Zach Wirtz. I'm with the Chicago Region Trees Initiative. We service the 7 counties around the Chicago area. But we also have some statewide opportunities as well. So if you're outside of that region, we may also be able to assist you. As you heard, we are really keen on tree ordinance, tree protection, as well as development. I want to share with you all just a little bit of information. If you are in the region, the CRTI does provide assistance with things like tree protection ordinances. I have a couple of work groups that I am working with through the CRTI that are developing templates for tree protection ordinances as well as development ordinances. And those will be available later this year, and we'll probably do a couple of webinar series to present those as well. So when that information is available, I'll make sure to share it with Beth so she can share it out to all of you. The CRTI is here to provide things like knowledge resources, training. We have urban forestry basic training opportunities. We have work groups that do work like advocacy, tree protection, risk assessment, that kind of thing, that if you're interested in getting more involved with urban forestry topics through your organizations, you can reach out to us and we can either connect you with folks that you can get involved with, or you can get involved directly with the CRTI. And we also provide, in some instances, some funding resources. And I have one to share with you all today, which is really exciting. We have a new grant available that is from the USDA Forest Service that is issued through the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. This grant will allow communities to do either tree inventories and or community urban forest management plans and or tree planting. So for this group, it's really key to note that we need communities to be the ones that apply. So municipal governments, park districts, forest preserve districts, Any unit of government that's not state or federal is able to apply, but we really encourage them to work with community groups like all of the Go Green chapters to have these grants be really successful. So I accidentally sent it too early, but I dropped a link to a website that explains the grant specifics, which I won't take too much time for today. I am doing a webinar for grant Q&A and general overview next week. You can register on that website and find information on the timing. It's Thursday of next week. So with that, I think I can wrap up and let Simon explain a little bit about what Wilmette is doing.
Thank you very much, Zach. So Saima Abbasi is a tree keeper with Open Lands. That's another group doing some really good work. And as soon as Saima pops up, we'll pin her and let her summarize what, how we're taking this information that's available to us and really putting it to work in Wilmette. And if Saima for some reason is not on, I can give a bit of an update. But
I'm here, Beth.
Okay, perfect. All right, Saima Abbasi, tree keeper and passionate tree specialist from Go Green Wilmette.
Okay, thank you, Beth, so much. And so we've been, educating our residents for a long time about trees, by, having tree walks and, having different kind of ways to educate the community. But we recently have been working on improving our tree ordinance. And so far, we have been working with our environmental commission and our village president and the village manager are also the head of the public works. We have been really feel very fortunate that everyone is very receptive and really believes that we need to have a better tree ordinance. So we have sent some recommendations to our village manager. And Beth, do you want me to just share some of those recommendations or?
I don't think we don't have a lot of time. Why don't you just summarize in like 30 seconds? What are some of the key ones, Simon?
But I also want to mention what Beth said about the webinar that Lydia Scott, who is the director of Chicago Region Trees Initiative. One of the key things she mentioned was that we need to treat our urban trees as critical infrastructure. And so, we have budgeting for streets and libraries, and so like the gray infrastructure. So because of all the ecosystem services our trees provide, and so what we suggested to the village, so I'm just going to give you some the points that we sent them. Our ordinance was not in one place, and so we asked the village to have it situate it in one place so it's easy for people to see and refer to. Have a clear purpose and intent. That was another recommendation. And so we had examples that we had studied 3 or 4 different tree ordinances in the area. And so we gave examples to our village, like village of Glenview has a great tree ordinance, city of Lake Forest, village of Lincolnshire. And I also asked Zach of the CRTI to look at our tree ordinance and suggest some of the places of improvement. And so he was extremely helpful. He looked at our entire, our ordinance, and then he had some notes for us. So which we actually used for, having this document that we sent to the village. Also, we had definitions for our tree ordinance. Protected trees was another kind of recommendation where our village currently has trees that are 10 inches DBH.
Saima, you know what? I'm afraid we're going to have to move on. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. And so anyways, so we are really excited. And also the head of the public works, we are going to work with them and send recommendations for advocacy and some things that can be added into the newsletter of our village.
So Simon has been working on this for years. If anyone in your group would like to protect your trees more effectively, please learn, reach out to Sima. You can find her at info@gogreenwillmet.org, and she can send you some of the information that she's worked hard on. We'd love nothing more than to help you protect your trees as well. And again, some of your groups are doing a much better job than Wilmette is in this arena, but we are making good strides with Sima's help, our village, and with Julie Wolf, who's the head of our environmental commission. Sima, thank you very, very much. So now we're going to move on. Sidewalk Ordinances is another one that's very, very important. In order to encourage people to get out of their cars and walk and bike more, we have to make it safe. We have to have a active transportation expert with us. This is Ann Nagel. She's a physician passionate about supporting safe walking and biking. And part of that is improving ordinances. So Anne is going to give us some idea of how we might do that in our communities. Ann Nagel.
Thanks Beth, and hi to everyone. Again, I'm from Wilmette, and I just want to tell you a little story behind our sidewalk policy. And historically, two important landmarks was in 2015, we passed our complete streets policy. And I would encourage all communities to adopt one because it opens the door to grant opportunities and the conversation at important tables. And in that same year, we adopted a sidewalk policy. And I just want to share what the previous sidewalk policy was, because several neighboring communities have the same one. And that was, if you were interested in a sidewalk where there wasn't one on your block, you would put forward a petition to your village. They would then do an engineering study, and in turn would turn back to the residents on that block, say it's 13 residents, and say, yes, I want a sidewalk, no, I want a sidewalk. And a sidewalk would be considered by the village if there was 67% in favor of it. So going back to that number of 13, we needed 9 residents to say yes. And it was not 9, it was 8, and the 5 came through with the no. They won the vote and there was no sidewalk. Fast forward to this past year, earlier this year, the Wilmette passed the Master Bike Walk Active Transportation Plan. And this plan looks at improving walkability, bikeability, and mobility for all residents throughout our village. And in part of that, our consultants recommended we look back at our sidewalk policy. So to facilitate implementation of this plan, we looked at this policy and it has been rewritten. And what has been rewritten is that we now have priority sidewalks. And those were sidewalks that were identified, that needed to be identified and put in place in the active plan. So they're considered high priority, as well as high priority bike corridors. So those are both recognized. And what we have now done is turn to our commissions to evaluate these, particularly our Transportation Commission. They've been tagged with the recommendation to every year evaluate our active transportation plan and say, what are we going to do this year? So if they identify a priority sidewalk, they will let residents know where that sidewalk has been identified and, hey, we're thinking of doing it this year. And the residents will have a chance to come forward to the meeting, give their yay or nay, or give their opposition or their support. And then if it passes by the Transportation Commission, it goes to the Municipal Services Commission. And with their recommendation, it would go to the village board, and the village board could go forward and say, we are going to put this in the budget for putting in a sidewalk. So no longer is there a vote by residents. It's more looking at the whole community and how we can connect students to schools, residents to their churches, opportunities to get to transportation hubs, et cetera. So I think it is a win-win, and having looked nationally, I'm really proud of our village because I think this encompasses looking at our active transportation plan and moving it forward in increments over the next 5 years. So thanks for this opportunity.
Great, thank you. So this is a big deal that a couple of residents cannot get their neighbors whipped up into a frenzy and say no to a sidewalk across from a school, which in fact has happened in Wilmette. It's happened in the Avoca School District. Now, if it makes sense for the community as a greater good, we can put a sidewalk in. So that's really important. Kim Stone, as an elected official, did this in Highland Park as well. One of the strange things is if you didn't respond to that email, do you want a sidewalk? They counted it as a no vote. Kim said, let's flip it. If you don't bother to say yes or no, it's a yes, I want the sidewalk. Little things like that in our ordinances and legislative process make a huge difference. Anne has worked on this for years. Also with the ATA, Active Transportation Association. If you in your community want to promote walking and biking, you can reach out and find Anne, and she can help make this happen in your community as well. I do want to say a little disclaimer. I understand a lot of our speakers are from Wilmette. I did repeatedly ask other leaders to send information that they wanted to repeat on or report on. So now, thank you very much, Anne. We're going to move to the leaf blower ordinance. You know, we've been working hard on this. And the first thing I want to do is give a report from Glencoe. Glencoe is really doing an amazing work on this to keep our communities cleaner and quieter. They are having a big education program called Leave the Leaves with a direct mail to all residents. They're hosting a webinar in October about the importance of leaving leaves for habitat and the problem with leaf blowers. They're working through their schools to get kids on board. And this is the most important thing. They are working on proposing to their village government that Glencoe be one of the first communities to completely phase out gas-powered leaf blowers in the year 2024. So that is a big deal. It would have to have some sort of a phase out. They're thinking about maybe some incentives, but so more and more communities are realizing that their neighbors are putting together restrictive ordinances to keep our communities cleaner and quieter. And so if your community wants to follow suit, you can learn from Glencoe. Now we're gonna get a very short report by Kingpor of Winnetka on the same issue. King, can you sign on, please?
Yes, thank you, Beth. Hello, everyone. And I'm going to give a quick update on the progress that we've made, both in Winnetka and across the North Shore, on the compliance with the leaf blower ordinances. As you may know, a number of communities on the North Shore, Evanston, Wilmette, now Kenilworth, Winnetka, and Glencoe have ordinances prohibiting the use of leaf blowers during the summer months. We also know that those ordinances have been ignored largely by landscapers and many homeowners over the years. And Winnetka's ordinance is almost 20 years old, and time and again you see the leaf blowers ignoring it. So last March, when Beth and I were discussing this, we thought, can't we make this different this summer? And we, as many of you know, we had a leaf blower summit this past April, where we had 90 participants from a number of communities and a lot of good ideas together. And one thing that we did in Winnetka, which I think also Wilmette and others have been following, is engaging the police departments. And Winnetka had, I would consider, an innovative approach with our, we work closely with our police chief to come up with an idea of asking landscapers to sign a pledge not to use gas leaf blowers, that is, obey the law during the summer months. And much to our delight, we were able to get 35 landscapers, most of the large ones, to sign the pledge. And that has really made a difference. For instance, the Chalet, which is one of the larger landscapers, has decided it's going to buy all electric blowers. And I've seen this with some of their crews already. They're going to convert. And a number of other of the larger landscapers are moving to the electric blowers. And it has, I walk around our village, north, south, east, west with our dog. And my unscientific poll shows that the village really is quieter and our air is by a result cleaner because more and more landscapers are obeying the law. We still have outliers out there and there's work to do. The other thing we've done with Go Green Winnetka, we've put out a blog, which I'll put in the chat, about 5 good reasons to obey the leaf blower ordinance. And the long and short of all of this is that it is possible to move our communities away from the use of gas-powered leaf blowers, which I assume everybody on this call appreciates how bad they are for environmental reasons, and that our communities can move toward electric blowers and really improve the quality of the environment for all of our communities. So we're encouraged by the progress we've made, and I'm heartened to hear what Glencoe's going to be doing. We'll probably be looking at similar things. So there's reasons to be encouraged.
Great. Thank you very much, King. Your leadership has been terrific, and your chief of police willing to send that letter to every 70 different lawn care companies was a game changer. Next, we're going to have Julie Wolf. Julie Wolf is the head of the Environmental and Energy Commission in Wilmette, and she has been helping to strengthen the ordinance and enforce the ordinance in Wilmette. So Julie Wolf, next.
Thank you. I'll be brief because I know there's a lot on the agenda. What we found here in Wilmette is with the pandemic, more people were working from home, spending time at home, and they didn't realize just how very loud it was with all those gas-powered leaf blowers. I know my husband is one of them. He was trying to have these pretty important conference calls and you can't even hear when they're right out there. So there were a lot of complaints to the village and it got people's attention, not even thinking about the air quality. We've had gas-powered leaf blower ordinance for quite some time, but it's always been hard to enforce because if the enforcer gets there, they've already moved on and that sort of thing. So we changed things up a little bit. There's been a person dealing with enforcement so that that can be a little quicker. There's also been an information campaign by the village to let people know that it's really important. And basically, if you see something, say something. And asking, if you see somebody using a gas-powered leaf blower, asking them not to, and asking your landscaper not to. So it really is significantly quieter. Everyone has really noticed it. And we're hoping to do still more.
Great, thank you. There's a stunning article that is posted by a group called Quiet Communities. If you just Google it, you'll find it. People often say, well, it isn't fair to the low-wage workers to take this equipment away from them. In fact, the article helps people understand that it's actually, there are social justice reasons to not allow them to work 8 hours, 10 hours a day, sucking down bad fumes and damaging their hearing. Probably they don't have medical insurance. They literally will lose their hearing from spending years working in to keep our yards cleaner for slightly less money. So it's a great article. If no one has read it, it's terrific. You'll find it at Quiet Communities. So if your community is not doing anything about gas-powered leaf blowers, now is a great time to do it because there is a groundswell of support and the equipment is getting better and better and better. I also want you to know you can reach out to AGZA, American Green Zone Alliance, and he is, Dan Mabe has worked with many of our communities and he did the big webinars that we have hosted with actual yard care companies. The most important thing is for you to call the company that you get serviced or who is servicing your neighbor and remind them that we want to move toward cleaner, greener equipment. So with that, we are going to move on to pesticides and backyard spray services. I'm sure you have seen the market increase in private backyard spray companies. There's a 10-year-old girl from Winnetka who thought that shouldn't be allowed. She has written with Robin Gable something called the Bee Bill. And as you can imagine, there's been some very hard pushback. And so Karen McCormick, who is with the Robin Gables office, State Rep Robin Gables, is going to give us a quick update on HB 3118. That's the Bee Bill. Karen?
Hello, good afternoon. As Beth mentioned, I'm Karen McCormick and I work for State Representative Robin Gable, who, as I'm sure you know, is a huge advocate for the environment. Her whole career has been focused on a lot of energy bills. And when Scarlett Harper from Winnetka contacted her in the office about this, her concerns about pesticides causing problems with pollinators, Robin got very interested in it. And as Beth mentioned, one of the biggest issues were the subscription mosquito spraying treatment companies. So this bill kind of focuses on trying to rein them in, but there has been a huge pushback by those companies and also the landscapers because it's inconvenient for them, for the landscapers, and it's also hard for the pesticides people to be in business without this. So unfortunately, the bill did not get passed this year, but it did get out of the Energy and Environmental Committee unanimously. So that was encouraging. It was a 29-0 vote. And I think between Scarlett working on it and Representative Gable, I think we are in a good position to bring it up again next year, and hopefully we will be more successful. And as we've been talking all afternoon, one of the biggest things that you can do is contact your legislators and encourage them to support this bill and other ones that, like we've been talking today, because all of this comes from the constituents and you can have a huge impact. But I did share a link about on a CBS program where they featured Scarlett, and she did a great job describing, you know, what she's been doing. And so it might be fun for you to take a look at that link. And that's basically it.
Thank you very much. Everyone is doing such a good job being succinct. It's 2 o'clock. I wanted to ask whether Catherine Calkins, who's been working very closely with the North Shore Mosquito Abatement District, wants to talk about the PDF information sheet that they developed in partnership with the Midwest Grows Green group. Catherine, are you available?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a camera on my computer.
Take your voice.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I was just beginning to type into the chat that this is also a major public health issue. So the sheet that we created last year is, we can certainly, I think we sent it to Ms. Gable's office and it's available. We can share it with anybody. Has a lot of information about what really these companies are not using the most efficient forms of treatment for your yard. Really the best way to get rid of mosquitoes is to get rid of standing water, which I'm sure many of you know, and to wear repellent. Those are the most effective methods. And the spray companies are potentially, and you know, I don't know, I think it'll be determined that it's likely that the spray companies will have been shown to be contributing to resistant mosquitoes. They all use compounds called pyrethroids, which are derived from chrysanthemums. Doesn't matter. They're very toxic to pollinators and to lots of insects. And they are also, mosquitoes are becoming resistant to them, which is a public health issue because in case of some kind of mosquito-borne illness outbreak, those are the compounds that the mosquito abatement districts have to use to control mosquito and disease spread as a consequence. So yeah, so the sheet is available, and it's important for village governments to understand that this is becoming a public health issue.
Great. Thank you, Catherine, for your work on this. It's really, really important. We need to be moving toward less pesticide, not more. And yet these perfectly legal backyard spray services that are propping up everywhere are really harmful to certainly to the insects and wildlife in your yard, and possibly to our plants and possibly to ourselves. So thank you for the work that you've done with that. Great idea of, helping us, just a community group who went to an agency that connected them to another agency, and some really good things have been happening. I'm going to give a quick update on behalf of Kim Stone about electrification of Metra and Pace. Again, this makes a difference when people like us get involved, which is why she asked some of you, all of you, to be signing on behalf of your group to the letter that urges Metra to electrify their system. I know some communities, including Winnetka, have had Metra trains that sit and idle while running for half an hour at a time in their communities. The emissions are really terrible. They're very noisy. So Kim is kind of leading the way to try to help PACE and Metra electrify. Metra says, or PACE says, oh yes, we'd like to do this, but first we're going to buy 100 more clean natural gas buses that will be on the road for 12 to 15 years, and then we'll electrify. So that's where people have to step in to say, let's change that plan. Let's skip the 100 new buses and go straight to cleaner electric buses. At the same time, we all need to promote renewable energy so that our electric cars and buses are not going to be just drawing more coal-powered electricity. Okay, with that, that is the end of our legislation and ordinance section. We're now going to roll into events and campaigns. So these are actual things that our groups are doing, and now the reports are going to have to be quite brief. I hope you guys can stay past 2:30 because there's a lot to share. And this is how you can take something that another group is doing and replicate it. Feel free to contact the people. And the best thing you can do is to copy someone else's efforts so that you can be more effective with less effort. So with that first, Terry Cross, are you available to talk about your first ever fall plant sale that happened this past weekend?
I'd be delighted. Try to make it quick. I was elated all day that we sold 1,500 plants in less than 2 hours. Our first customer showed up. I know you probably have this, Beth, an hour early. He drove from Hyde Park and was super happy. I have a great picture of him with a wagon full of plants afterwards. It just couldn't have gone better. I think that there's very few things to iron out for next year. And I think based on the size of our organization, the number of volunteers we have, we were really punching above our weight. And I think it's all because of Go Green Wilmette and everything they provided for us in terms of expertise and time. And it was just, thank you so much for showing us the way, big sister.
Yeah, well, the plant sale that we do here is with Karen Glennemeyer and Nancy Pavkovich. We sold 3,000 plants in an hour and a half, and we can't get bigger. This isn't our only thing. And so what we are encouraging is that all of the other Go Green groups, you can help get true natives planted in the ground in your community by doing your own plant sale. Copy Winnetka's, copy ours. I think Deerfield did one as well. And it's a fundraiser as well. Do you know whether you made any money on it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we make $4,000 to $5,000 in an hour and a half. It's kind of phenomenal. So it's a win-win. People love it. It gets more native plants in the ground. We do work with our local nursery, trying to encourage Chalet and whatever, all the other nurseries to start providing 365 days a year, the true natives, which are really hard to find. So Terry, congrats to you and your group. Liz Kunkel can't be with us today, but you guys killed it. That's great. Thanks. Okay, next we have Leslie Shadd. She is working in Evanston, but also working with Highland Park on a National Wildlife Federation certification program. This is something that each and every one of our communities could pretty easily start working on. So thank you very much, Terry. Leslie, are you available?
I am. Thank you so much. You know, when Natural Habitat Evanston sort of started, one thought we had was, how do we sort of do a community-wide educational effort that is accessible, sort of easy, and sort of helps us learn how to community organize? And we ended up choosing the National Wildlife Federation program for that reason. So Evanston was the first town in Illinois to get certified as a community wildlife habitat. There is a HOA, Housing Homeowners Association in Galena, that was certified. But we're the first town to get certified. Chicago, Wilmette, and Highland Park are all working on it. And, you know, I just want to encourage this because it is an easy way to open a conversation about sustainability in our yards and gardening that matters, you know, actually making a difference for pollinators in your yard. It can also include trees. I mean, it definitely includes trees as part of, you know, a huge advantage to pollinators. So I think I should just end it there, just to say I'm available to talk about this. It really is almost any yard can qualify as some kind of habitat. So that's why it's easy. It's very carrot, not very stick. And it does, National Wildlife gives you the sort of the tools to figure out, well, what are my assets in my community? Who are my partners and supporters? Who are my challenges? And that is a really helpful thinking process for figuring out how to community organize. So I will put my email in the chat, and I'm just happy to support anyone else trying to do this.
Great. Thank you very much, Leslie. A little side note, we asked Wilmette a couple of years ago if we could start on this process, and we got a very carefully long letter back from our village manager, who's since retired. And he said, we are afraid that if you put this program in place, it will attract wildlife. He was particularly concerned about skunks and coyotes. And he said, you have no idea how many calls we get from people who don't want more skunks and coyotes. So we went around, you know, like the river going around the rock. We decided we would pursue the Audubon bird-friendly yard program. It's very similar, and yet bird-friendly didn't scare people quite so much as let's attract more wildlife, even though essentially it's the same thing. So there are various different programs that work. The National Wildlife Federation certification is excellent. Leslie, thank you for your work on that. Jenny Futterman, would you like to mention anything about how you're progressing in Highland Park with this?
Yeah, we are just getting started thanks to one of our newer members who came from Evanston and is trying to bring the Evanstonian green to Highland Park. So we actually have invited Leslie to our October 5th meeting. So if there's other people on who want to come to our meeting October 5th, is the gogreenhp.org website has the registration link. So she's going to be our featured speaker for our meeting to kind of give us the ups and downs and you know, what we should and shouldn't do, maybe try to give us a little bit of advice before we get going. And we also are pairing with our League of Women Voters, Highland Park Highwood, on this because, you know, the League has new environmental goals. And so it's just a way for us to extend our reach and get possibly to people who, you know, want to do something, but don't know where to start. So we're using their emailing as well. And I don't know if this would work, but I kind of want to invite some landscapers because we get a lot of emails at Go Green Highland Park who, you know, people are getting native landscape, but nobody can take care of it. So I don't know if inviting a landscaper to this to see what they could learn, and it's a whole new cash cow for them. If we had native landscapers up here, people could make money hand over fist. So just a thought I had earlier today. That's it. Good collaboration.
Super. Thank you so much. Hopefully, maybe Wilmette will be able to go down that path again. Okay, the next thing we want to mention is the a solar tour. The Illinois Solar Energy Association has a big statewide tour every year. I am a solar owner, have had solar panels since 2005, and I've been on that tour, and I've noticed that we tend to have one house per suburb or a few houses per suburb, and that it's not really realistic that people are going to drive that far to visit houses. Thank you for pulling that up. And so I went to the Illinois Solar Association, and I said, what would you think if I did a small hyperlocal tour in Wilmette, where I asked people to just be part of a very small local tour, and at the same time invited them to also be part of yours if they wanted to. They were very supportive and said, give it a try. And we have 12 to 15 homes right in Wilmette. We're really excited. It's going to be September 25th. And because many of you do live near Wilmette, you can see how there's like one house per suburb here in many, many cases. Okay, 2 in Evanston. No, 3 in Evanston. But anyway, this is a way that all of you, if you wanted to, could say, you know, we could get 5 or 6 houses in Northbrook, or we could do that in Highland Park, or we could do that in Grays Lake. So we're super excited. We're doing it for the first time, and we're creating, it's hard the first time. So we've created the invitation letter, we've created the confirmation letter, and now we asked our village if they would help to map it with the village mapping program. All of your villages have it. And so they're really helping us with that. So we're very excited. And we invite you all to send your folks to our suburb if you can't throw something together in the next 12 days. But I want to now mention that Sarah Sanford heard about this and decided she could do something in Northbrook. So Sarah, could you tell us what you've done in Northbrook, please?
So we're doing it a little more simply in that our website just directly links people to go to this Illinois solar site. And that way I don't have to do the whole mapping thing. It just makes it easier. And all I've done is just really try to contact as many people as I can who have solar. And I was actually able to get the Park District, who has solar on the newly built Techni Prairie Center. So they're going to have somebody out there. And so I think what will end up happening, Beth, is that people will put a sign out front, and then people just ring the doorbell. If you're home, you'll come out and then talk about it. So nobody's going into your home. So if you have solar and you're thinking about being a part of this tour, don't worry about being out there all day. So that's all I have to say.
Great. So the Illinois Solar Energy Association, they have done this so many times that they literally can add you to this tour at the last minute. So if you or someone you know has solar, please encourage them to be part of the Illinois Solar Energy Association tour. The fact that this legislation just passed is amazing. And as Lisa said, we are going to go from like 0 to 60 incredibly fast. So now's the time to get involved, decide to go. We're trying to get people I've been thinking about that to make the call to start the process. So I'm so excited that Northbrook is going to be participating as well with your houses. Okay, I've asked Sima to give us a 30-second overview about the tree walks that she's about to host for the 7th or 8th time, and how she's now hosting walks for other groups. If Sima is available, I'm not sure whether she is.
Yes, I am.
Okay, Sima.
So Beth, thank you so much. This is actually a great way to, the tree walks are a wonderful way to get people educated about our local trees. So what we do is we select like one park each time, a different park in our town. And we've had like over 70, 80 people come to the tree walks. And it's just a very popular event. Highly recommend that you start it in your own town. Rotary Club of Wilmette Harbor recently contacted us. And so I, led a walk for them. Also, I think that it's such and so we are also partnering with our village and going to have our foresters, lead some walks too, talking about native trees, tree care. It's a great event, really exciting. So thanks, Beth, for asking me to share that.
Okay, thank you. We've been doing great on the speed dating. Next, Katie Narwald of Kenilworth is going to tell us briefly about a heritage tree program that they started in Kenilworth that I think is really easily replicated by other communities. So if we can have Katie.
Yep, thanks, Beth. Kenilworth is celebrating its 125th year this year since the village was founded in 1896. And because of the pandemic and having to start thinking about this in 2020, we knew we couldn't really do a formal party and maybe some things that had done in the past. So a few people came up with the idea of working to plant 125 trees in the 125th year. And the hope is to really restore the canopy that we lost since the village's founding. And really the other kind of half of it is really just education to get people to understand the importance of trees and how they benefit our community. So we've had scavenger hunts, arborist talks. We are getting education in the school. Scouts have been involved. So Sima, for sure, I'm going to reach out to you regarding a tree walk. But so far we are planting 67 trees this October. We have 12 trees that have been planted by individuals in their yards. And we will plant the rest of the 46 next spring.
Great, thank you so much. I know that a lot of the communities are working about to try to increase the tree canopy and to find out benchmark, what did you used to have, what do you have now, and how many, what kind of a canopy coverage do you want in the future? Chicago Region Trees Initiative can help you with that. If you don't have a village forester, I hope you'll encourage your community to take one on. Also, I want to just mention that, we are blessed with a lot of trees in our community, and that one thing that Go Greenest has talked about is whether or not, if in conjunction with planting trees in Wilmette, whether we might plant some trees in what they call tree deserts. At the webinar that Lydia Scott gave us with, you can see from a satellite, there are communities like Waukegan that have a fraction of the trees that our North Shore communities have. And so it's an interesting thought to think about, what if trees benefit everybody? If we plant 10 trees in Wilmette, should we plant 2 in Waukegan or in another community that doesn't have the resources that your community might? Okay, so thank you. The Heritage Tree Program is very interesting. The Morton Arboretum can help any community with that. And we encourage all of you to work hard to protect your trees. I'm going to say really quickly about sustainable yard tours. I know that Deerfield had a really great one. Go Greenest had their 7th annual with our fabulous Saima Abbasi running it again. We did videos of all 5 yards, and I encourage you, if you have a chance, they're 5 minutes long. But while we did invite people to go to the yards this year, to watch the video, you get to really tap into the knowledge and the passion of the yard owner in a way that you don't always when you wander through the yard and someone else is talking to the yard owner. So if you go to Go Greenest's YouTube channel, and you will see the videos. Saima's has already been viewed by more than 400 people in just a few weeks. Amanda Nugent's is wonderful, Martha Hellander, and Julie Wolf's, and Amy Hannah Downey's, which was doing a small vegetable garden in 100 square feet in their front yard. So those are really terrific. Kudos to all of you. Sustainable Yard Tours are really fun. We don't sell tickets. It could be a fundraiser. We don't sell tickets because we want everybody to show up. So they're terrific. Thank you so much. Next, okay, Kay McKean of Scarce. Scarce is a resource that whose mission is basically waste reduction of many, many, many different kinds. They have a big program called the Pumpkin Pitch or Pumpkin Smash. Pumpkin Smash. Kay is going to give us a really short, and she's going to tell us whether or not at this late date, September 14th, could we figure out how to do a pumpkin collection in our communities to reduce sending all these pumpkins to landfills. There you go, Kay.
Hi, everybody. Yes, there's still plenty of time. Erin is on the call as well. She's nodding her head. We need your information, your letter of acceptance of the project from your city by October 6th. It needs 30 days so that we can get that information. You can send it directly to your county administrator if you would like, but your city needs to give you a letter of approval. Number one. Number two, if you have Republic as your hauler, and you don't have, some haulers are charging. Republic has a grant program. The grant program does not take that long to fill it out. Last year we filled it out for 3 groups, but they can help you get that program for free. There's plenty of time to do it. Our website has everything. It has it in English and Spanish and promotional information. Important to us is to make sure that we get your exact location so that we have your zip code so we can put it on our map, right, Erin? The letter of approval. Republic, we talked about that. It's our 7th year, you guys. We're well over 500 tons. We know it's lots more than that, but some communities didn't demand that the haulers give them a number or didn't realize the importance of getting the number. And at the end of the whole thing, we will send out information about how many tons were collected, how much water was saved, how much pollution was prevented, how much methane gas was prevented. So it's a great way to teach your residents about the importance of food scrap composting. It's a fun way to get the families involved, and probably most important, no contaminants. So tell people no candles, no stickers, no plastic ears, no yarn hair. It is just for the pumpkins, and make sure that the kids get to kind of see the pumpkins getting smashed, whether they do it. We even have a little ladder at the Wheaton event so that kids can climb up and see their pumpkin being smashed or smash the pumpkins themselves. There's so much information on our website. So scarce.org, I think /pumpkins, but if you go to the recycling page, right, Erin? You'll get all of that information. We'd love, if you have any questions, give us a call so we can help you. It's a fabulous thing, and we're thrilled with the number of new towns joining us already this year.
Great, thank you so much. This is an example. Go Green Met saw other communities doing these pumpkin smashes and thought, whoa, we really need to copy that. It's fun, it's easy, and I hope that more of you will participate. Once you start thinking about all these pumpkins, you know, it's hard to think about them going to a landfill. Thank you very, very much, Kay. Appreciate that. Okay, we all know that recycling contamination is one of the biggest problems we have. And so Lake Forest has come up with a program to try to reduce the recycling contamination in Lake Forest, and we can all learn from it. Next we have Marcus Norman.
Thank you, Beth, and everybody here. Just really quickly, I'm on the board of the Green Minds here in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff, but I also, in my real life, I work as a branding and graphic design professional. And I was lucky enough to get this job with the city of, well, actually, it's not really a job, it's an assignment for a project to help the city of Lake Forest, specifically the Public Works Department, reduce recycling contamination from 25%, which it was a year ago, which is just unheard of, but probably pretty consistent for most communities that do single stream recycling. But to reduce it to 10%, which would save the city an estimated $50,000 a year. So the whole city council got behind it. The grant was awarded to the city from the Lake Forest Garden Club for $110,000 over 2 years to reach this goal. We are just over a year into progress here with our educational campaign directed at the residents and people that work in our community here. And I'm happy to say that we're currently at our last measure in August at about 17.8, which is just slightly behind where we need to be to get to 10% in another 9-10 months time. So fingers crossed. We're going to keep the communication going in our digital, our print, our environment, everywhere we can get our word across. So thank you guys. As a side kind of benefit to this educational program, I think we're really raising awareness in our community to not just recycle better, but also think about more what they're throwing away, recycling, and even reusing to hopefully diminish what ends up in our landfills.
Great, thank you. So the campaign's called Bart the Cart, and if you could put in the chat how people could find to learn about what you're doing. All right, so thank you, Marcus. Next, we're going to talk really briefly about an issue that probably none of us are yet dealing with. When I heard about it from Northbrook, I asked Sarah Sanford to talk to us about promoting green roofs in our community. Sarah?
Okay, so to back up, Northbrook has this great thing called Green Moments that we get to talk for 3 minutes at every trustee meeting. And it's something that's really great to replicate in other villages. If you have a good relationship with your village, then approach them and maybe you can get an opportunity to speak at every meeting. And because of that speaking, it is clear that we were able to get a sustainability plan, a study done, and then a plan started because of all our education directly with the trustees. So to my green moment, Beth asked me I will summarize. There are basically two types of green roofs. The extensive green roof consists of hardy, drought-tolerant vegetation like succulents, growing medium and drainage layers above the roof membrane. And then there's the intensive, which is having a thicker medium, and you can actually have trees growing on it and people can walk on it. So green roofs and conventional roofs can vary greatly in cost, but in general terms, installing a green roof costs about twice as much as a conventional roof, which doesn't sound great, but the green roof protects the roof membrane from ultraviolet rays. And based on experience in Germany, where they've been doing it since the 1960s, it extends the life of the roof 2 to 3 times normal. So it ends up about the same. Green roofs also provide habitat for birds and insects and sequester carbon in plant roots, and they are beautiful to behold. So the IEPA considers green roofs a green infrastructure best management tool for stormwater mitigation and has awarded grants towards green roof installations. San Francisco mandates either green roofs or solar on roofs for all new buildings. and San Francisco fast tracks green roof, Chicago fast tracks green roof permits. So there are two, at least nationally or local, but nationally known businesses called, one is called More Landscapes, and they're headquartered in Northbrook, and the other is intrinsiclandscaping.com, Intrinsic Landscaping. They have installed numerous green roofs in their webs. So basically, you have resources locally, construction incentives for green roofs, and building policy that encourages, or dare we say mandates, their use are twin drivers of proliferation. Let's make green roofs an ordinary thing. And what I say is Northbrook, but you can say whatever you want in the North Shore, in your town. So
okay,
that's basically how my
that was so great. I think that I think we could all do some interesting work with green roofs. I know they have one at our local high school, but they're pretty uncommon. I also want, one of the big things I forgot to mention with the Illinois Solar Tour is that the vast majority of people that own a home are not solar candidates because of shade, the way their house faces, or because they simply don't have the money to buy solar panels. We are encouraging all those people to sign up for community solar programs, or some of them, if sunny roofs without the funding, we're encouraging them to look into leasing programs. But community solar, you've been hearing about this for years and years. We're going to let Jenny Futterman give a brief talk about the efforts in Highland Park to promote community solar. Jenny?
Sure. We were working with Trajectory Energy, a local company here in Highland Park, to promote the Clearway Community Solar since like last year. I think 2020 of Earth Day is kind of when we started, or in March. And so really just trying to get everyone to sign up, and Trajectory was donating $75 to Go Green Highland Park every time somebody used our promo code. So we've gotten, I think, over 71 houses. So that's $5,000 in our pocket, and people going community solar. It was kind of a tough push, but we did webinars and we showed up where we could. I think Hal got some good leads at our farmers market. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up because, well, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to say, a lot of the Clearway sites are filling up, and they want to save room for small commercial and other entities. So we actually, tomorrow is our last day to sign up with the Go Green Code. But we're super excited about it. And our last move now is some of the North Shore communities have started the electrical aggregation program. So community Clearway solar customers need to be sure to opt out of that if their community is in. But our city still has community solar going through MC squared. So, you know, I won't discourage anyone from doing that.
Okay, thank you so much, Hal Sprague, who's been on. He's been working tirelessly. We've been doing this in Go Green as well. Trajectory Energy is moving on to different sorts of solar projects, and we thank them for all of their help and their partnership in this. So we were supposed to end at 2:30, although we normally always went till 3. We now have time for community sharing for all the people that haven't had a chance to speak. They're all doing good things. We encourage you to stay on if possible, because we'd like to hear from the communities that are here. We literally are going to have about a minute per community. I will call it by alphabetical order. So be prepared to get online and give us a 1-minute summary of what you're up to that you want to share with us. So with that, we still have Jennifer Lucas from Barrington. I know she was on before. So if I go past you, write in the chat to say you didn't call on me. Buffalo Grove. Dorothy Heilman was on. Anyone from Deerfield? It's going to give more time for the rest of us. Anyone from Evanston?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
I'm here, Beth.
Okay, you're Deerfield. Debbie. Okay, Debbie from Deerfield.
Yeah. We have a tree walk coming up in September. It's our Sustainability Commission that's hosting it. And we'll have 2 arborists, and the date is the 25th of September. That's my update.
less than
That's
a minute.
Super. Deerfield is doing a lot of really, really, really great work, which is terrific. I know you're doing more than that. You did have a great sustainable yard tour, and you showed photos and you told the story on your website, which is another way of doing it.
Yes.
We did find all of you in your communities have people who can create videos, and we ended up with a college kid who did it for the second time. And we find videos quite compelling. So anyway, both formats work well. Anyone want to say anything more from Evanston? Rachel, Ross?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel.
So I'm the president of Citizens Greener Evanston. Natural Habitat Evanston is under our umbrella. We're having our first fundraiser on Sunday as part of the North Shore Century, and we've already got like $10,000 pledged. It's kind of nuts. We've hired our first executive director. So, but I also wanted to talk about wear my work hat, because I'm working for 7 Generations Ahead in Oak Park. It's our future program, and taking 6 youth, 3 from Oak Park, 1 from Evanston, 2 from CPS, and 3 teachers to the Glasgow UN Climate Summit. So we will be streaming and posting regularly. Students will be doing dispatches, and really interested in kind of getting that information out through schools, but through a variety of channels. So I'll put my email in the chat and our Instagram.
Okay, in case you missed it, Citizens Greener Evanston has just hired their first executive director. So that kudos to all of you. You guys have been around longer than any other group. And kudos to you that you are in the position to hire someone to help you. On that note, if you can't hire an executive director, we hope you'll consider interns. There are very talented young people who want to get launched in the field, who would be very happy to work with your group. Always good to try to pay them. You can pay them up to $600 as a stipend with no tax impact for your group. They have to pay tax on it. So congratulations to Evanston. Anyone? So Glen Ellen, Jacqueline. Kudos to Glen Ellen, who is they are just launching this month. And if Glen Ellen, Jacqueline is still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, our very first event is tonight. We're going to be at an eco movie and sustainability fair tonight. That's sponsored by our Park District and College of DuPage. So the sustainability fair runs for an hour. They're going to have different organizations that help to promote sustainable farming and care of the soil and the environment. So we're going to have the Chicago Region Trees Initiative is going to be there. Sustain DuPage is going to be there. The Garden Works Project, Prairie Food Co-op, which is hopefully going to be our first cooperative grocery store in DuPage County. And then the Glen Ellen Environmental Commission and Go Green Glen Ellen. So we'll all be there for an hour chatting with residents. And then at 7:30, we're showing a 45-minute shortened version of the documentary Kiss the Ground. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with that. But the shorter time frame makes it really friendly for families. And then afterwards, we're going to have a 15-minute panel. So yeah, our goal tonight with Go Green Glen Ellen is just to get the word out, get people on the mailing list. We already have 20 people signed up and we haven't even done anything yet. So we're excited about that. And then also shout out to Go Green Deerfield, because I connected with their, I think it was the assistant village manager, about their composting opt-in program. And the Environmental Commission is offering, giving out like free compost bags and raffling off a countertop composting bin tonight as part of this sustainability fair. So appreciate that connection with another Go Green group and that great info.
Great, great. This reminds me, if you know someone in a suburb that does not have a Go Green group, send them our way, because groups like this are starting all the time. Congratulations to you. It wouldn't have happened without you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. I forgot to include Morton Grove. I had asked them to do a special short talk about, they just did their first ever environmental fair, and it was just awesome to see how they did it. So could we jump through the alphabet and ask Andrew Hoffman from Morton Grove to tell us quickly about their first environmental fair, which just happened?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we just had our first Sustainability Expo this past Saturday. A year ago, we would not have believed that we could even do this. Our village is not a strong sustainability advocate. What happened is a couple of us pushed the village to start the Environmental and Natural Resources commission again, which hadn't been running about 10 years. And by doing that, we started this commission last year, came up with a sustainability plan. And then in March, the village talked about Sustainability Expo. For this September, I talked with Beth, who was very instrumental in helping us come up with ideas, because they really didn't have a lot of ideas on what kind of exhibits. And so we ended up having over 30 exhibits, including solar, electric car show, composting swamp, native plant landscaping. We had composting and recycling bins. We had water refilling stations with compostable cups. It was all pretty amazing. And it all started with just a few of us kind of pushing the village to get this commission going. It was successful. We had people videotaping the whole thing, the exhibits, and people were there the whole 4 hours. A lot of people came through. Go Green Morton Grove had 38 signups. So we were really pleased with this, and we're hoping this will happen every year.
Wow, it was super impressive that you did that like right after you started up. It was terrific. Gia was going to mention about a little attractive exhibit that they had that I thought was so interesting. They wanted to show people how small steps, when we all do them together, really add up, and they did it with marbles. Gia, do you want to give us the 20-second description of that?
Sure. So we used a marble run. And the one we had was musical. It's something that I have from my kids back when they were little. It's called a Xyloba. And we just set up a quick marble maze and got a bunch of marbles, and then had a list of things that were all positive, phrased in a positive manner, of things you already do for the environment. So there was things from voting to recycling, walking and biking, etc. And then you would take a marble for each one of the activities you already do and put it through the marble maze, and it would play your little song as it went through. The kids absolutely loved it. And a fringe benefit was it brought music to the table. So people kept coming by going, where's this music coming from? So there's lots of ways to produce this. It doesn't have to be musical. Beth was explaining there's maybe some other ways to do this without the musical part, but I think that was a great addition. And if anybody wants to reproduce this in their community, my kids are teenagers now, so they don't really use this. So if anyone would like to borrow the marble maze that makes music, I'm happy to lend it out to other communities.
Great. Thank you, Gia. I thought it was just absolutely terrific. A really great, fun visual thing to see how our collective efforts can add up. Okay, so we're going to keep running really fast. We've got 20 minutes. Glencoe, I know you've had a chance to speak. Anything else you want to mention? Glenview is on. Glenview's next. All right, Glenview, Merry Monday. I see you.
Okay, here I am. So Glenview is going to launch a green group. We haven't named it yet. And so we have a save the date message out to people for October 27th at the library. And the reason that we're starting it is because of the climate crisis, and also because we've noticed that the village is doing some good things. They signed the Greenest Region Compact. We have a Natural Resources Commission that won one of those grants that Zach mentioned to do a tree assessment and a plan. And the Park District attended the AGSA, American Green Zone Alliance workshops, and are now the proud owners of one $40,000 electric mower. Thank you very much. And they were quoted in the newspaper saying they're on the lookout for more sustainability ventures. And we think that gathering people together to support, to educate, to advocate for more of these things in the village will give everyone hope and will launch new ventures. And I think everything that we've heard today is I just have a whole to-do list of topics that we will continue on with. So I have one request. If you have words of advice, tips from experience about just getting together, we're launching we're working on the website, we're working on bylaws and things like that. If you have anything helpful, words of advice or bylaws or things like that, please send them. It's just to my personal email. We'll have a green email in the future, but I will put my email in the chat. And please send useful tips. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Mary. And if you know anyone in Glenview, please send them to Mary as well. What happens is that we can all help each other find the green people willing to join the team. So congratulations to Glenview. Anything else in Highland Park? I know you've had a chance to say a few things, Jenny.
The only thing I would say is we are kind of starting to finally form a steering committee. So we've had a few regulars that kept showing up, and, now we had this money, so we needed some direction. So collected a few people, and I think we'll be having our second or third steering committee meeting in about a month. So really trying to get some direction, and the Habitat project will be one of our first major citywide pushes. So very excited about growing.
That's great. A lot of you, if you go to the different Go Green websites, you will find their mission and projects on their website. So that can be helpful, or of course, contact people within that organization. Thank you. Katie, anything else in Kenilworth?
No, Beth, I think a lot has been covered today. Thanks.
Okay, Lake Bluff.
Can I squeeze in for Glencoe?
Sure, yeah. I was too fast for you, sorry.
Sorry about that. Friends of the Green Bay Trail, we are basically open 24/7 for sustainability walks. We can show you how it looks when you do plant natives in your garden, because if we can plant it on an abandoned rail trail, you can certainly do it in your garden. We haven't really amended the soil that much. Also, we're having an author named Doug Talamay, who has a book on oaks, and he talks about more about how you can support nature from your home. And we're with the Glencoe Sustainability Task Force and the Glencoe Library, and they're putting it on at the library for a Zoom webinar on September 29th at 7:00 p.m. So please join us.
Awesome. Doug Talamay is amazing. His other book, Nature's Best Hope, is fantastic. And I encourage you all to attend their event. And thank you for your generosity in inviting others to attend your event. Okay, so Lake County, Dave Husmuller, College of Lake County, you want to say anything? Oh, wait. Oh, Dave. Okay. Also LaGrange or Lake Bluff?
So Lake Bluff.
Okay.
We can speak for both Lake Bluff and Lake Forest. So we've been pretty busy over the summer. We had a summer intern who is doing a project on composting, and she's going to do a symposium at the library this winter on composting, where she's working with different solutions in different areas, restaurants, what people do at home. We've been in farmers markets, both in Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, and we were at Let Nature Be a Teacher camp meeting this weekend, where one of our volunteers had created these beautiful compost bins for curbside composting, because this village can't get people to compost at home, or they actually can compost with the curbside yard waste, but people don't do it. So we created these bins, so they will start doing it, and they were ripped away. We have been giving out free bamboo straws over the summer to people to try and we put them up in juice bars to make people aware of the plastic. We've done beach cleanups. We just had a beach cleanup today with a group of master naturalists here from Chicagoland. We just started a collection site for people's unwanted disposable utensils that they get with the takeaways, and they're being donated to the shelters in this area. And we just keep going. We are working right now very hard on trying to sway our city from the city of Lake Forest from not installing 10.5 acres of artificial turf. And that would be great if we could maybe talk about how to do something on county levels, because there is no oversight on this. And it's a lot of plastic and a lot of plastic waste and a lot of PFAS and a lot of PHHs.
Thank you very much. If your community has grappled with the choice of artificial turf versus real turf, and you have some information that would help them in Lake Forest, convince them to go with the real turf, please send it to you. You can put your contact information in the chat. I know Kenilworth managed to fend that off as well. Okay, going down the list, SEMA with Lincolnshire and Vernon Hills.
So we recently assisted the Vernon Hills High School in launching their zero waste program in the lunchroom. And we're really proud of the high school to do that, considering the pandemic and a lot of the other schools shying away from doing zero waste. The program is going well so far. It's surprising, but they have less food waste and more landfill waste. So we're working, high school students are hungry. So we're working with the suppliers of the food packaging to see how we can get to more compostable packaging for the food. We also met, a few of us, including Jenny from Go Green in Highland Park. We met with Congressman Schneider to convince him to co-sponsor the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. We were all very happy to hear that the congressman said he's on board and that he would vote for the bill if it came on the floor. He hasn't co-sponsored yet because he's still trying to better understand the temporary pause in the bill from permitting new plastic facilities to start up. And finally, we met with the village manager of Vernon Hills to get them to start a sustainability commission. That meeting was not completely successful because they pushed back, saying that they're understaffed and they would not be able to handle the decisions that came out from a sustainability commission. So in my back pocket, I had at Beth and Kim's advice, I had the Greenest Region Compact. And I said, you know, at least you could sign on to that. And so they've promised me that in the next month, they'll look at the Greenest Region Compact. They believe that they're doing a lot that is in the compact. So, so they promised that they look at that and they'll see what more they can do and possibly sign on. So hopefully we'll have an update in about a month's time.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're doing a great job in both those communities. My dog is now getting, perky. Naperville. We have someone on from Naperville for the first time. Naperville. She may be gone. Northbrook, Sarah, anything else in Northbrook? You've had a chance.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So much like Glencoe, we have our own Doug Tell Me event. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got Nature's Best Hope discussion in an environmental book club, which is September 28th. But before that, if you want to hear Doug Tell Me talk about that book, that is open to the public as well. It is through the Northbrook Public Library, www.northbrook.info/events. And then finally, as the thing that really brings it back home, which I'm excited about, is we're having transforming your landscapes for sustainability. So we're having the Park District talk about changing from lawns to native plants, and then somebody in their home, and then a different person on the panel. So those are really all open to all of you guys, and we'd love to have you register. Unfortunately, the environmental book club discussion is full, so you can be put on the wait list.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terrific. That book, Nature's Best Hope, I'm sure that book is phenomenal too. Nature's Best Hope is a phenomenal book. If you need a gift for anyone, I just handed it to someone I know at Chalet Nursery, hoping to convert him to natives. Next we have, let's see, I think we don't have anyone from Northfield here. Park Ridge, do you want to make a quick report? Okay, River Woods, Lori Breitkoff.
Yes, one of the biggest things that we're working on right now is fighting a proposed gas station that might go into River Woods when there are 6 other gas stations within a 2-mile radius. So we don't think that, for a lot of reasons, there should be another gas station. So that's a big battle, but we are engaged in it. Also, we are continuing our Brushwood Anti-Racism Environmental Justice series. On September 30th at 5:30, we will be discussing Winona LaDuke's To Be a Water Protector, very interesting book. And finally, on October the 2nd, we are sponsoring a recycling event from 9 a.m. till noon at the Riverwoods Village Hall. We will be collecting clothes and textiles and shoes and musical instruments and sporting goods and accessories. So we'll take anything that you'd like to bring to the Village Hall.
Great, thank you. With EV cars flooding the market, gas stations are going to be less and less an attractive solution for your community. If you're looking for a beautiful venue for an event, the Brushwood Center at Ryerson Woods is beautiful and gorgeous. My daughter got married there this summer. Next, we have anyone from Skokie want to say a couple things? Okay, anyone from Winnetka? Okay, I can say Winnetka just, oh.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that we're doing one other thing. Sorry, I have my video turned off because I'm also-
No, you're on.
Taking care of our infant grandson today. So I keep running off and helping him. Anyway, yeah, I think we might be doing something with one of our elementary schools. They're sponsoring a walker bike to school week. And so we're working on incentives for that. And I think that's all I know about right now. Liz is the wealth of information, but that's what I know. I just appreciate everything everybody's doing. It's very encouraging.
Okay, great. So we're gonna be, Wilmette will be last. I wanted to mention there is a food co-op starting South Evanston, North Rogers Park called Wild Onion Market. They would love us to support a food co-op. If you don't know much about co-ops, it's an amazing way to help get more money to the farmers, get healthier food to your table. I know a lot of us are buying our food from Amazon at Whole Foods, and this is going to be a really interesting option, wildonionmarket.com. Also, The Fate of Food is a book talk that is going to happen on the 20th, next Monday. The Fate of Food is a phenomenal book, really fascinating, interesting. We'd love for you to join us for that. Contact Liz Kunkel about that. Also, Wilmette, we have started a thing called Habitat Helpers in conjunction with our park district to help us do some native plant maintenance at local parks using the people in the neighborhood that use the park. That's been fun and interesting. We're doing beach cleanups. We also have we're continuing our webinar series with a webinar called Simple Swaps for Low Waste Living. We think it'd be really popular with your residents. It is going to be Simple Swaps for Low Waste Living is on the 22nd of September. So go to our website and you can get signed up for that. And so with that, it is 2:56 with 4 whole minutes left. I want to thank all of you for sharing your good work with the rest of the team. And it was terrific to get connected with all of you. Thank you so much. And just know that what we're doing collectively, like the marbles that collect in the jar, is really, really making a difference. So with that, we're going to let you go 3 minutes early, and we'll see you in 2 months.
Thank you, Beth.
All right. Bye-bye.